Hello again. So today we will be reading, backstory. I basically lived at my church growing up. I applied for the scholarship and it had a lot of questions. This is in 2012. There's questions on there basically asking, do you support same-sex marriage? Are you pro-life or pro-choice? And at the bottom of that page, I believe it said, if you support same-sex marriage, you cannot receive the scholarship. If you are pro-choice and not pro-life, then you cannot receive the scholarship. I could have easily lied and said like, yes, I don't believe in this. I do support that and all those things. At the end of the application, we were asked to write a 500-word essay letter on the topic of our choice. So I decided that it was important to say something, which is what I used the essay for. All right, so we will be reading it word for word, bar for bar, okay? I started the letter with the word so. So I go, so I have noticed that the application is not the same as it has been these past years, and I feel that I have something to say. You dedicated a whole page about your wisdom to us filling out this application. So as you stated, being the age, I put in quotes, age that to give meaningful criticism, now I will. So I understand that my father, who is... Oh my God. Okay, backstory. My dad was the Grand Knight of the church. And he couldn't be the Grand Knight the years that me and my sister graduated because it'd be like nepotism. You know, there'd be like, you can't do that. Situations like that. Like when it comes to scholarship, you're going to give it to your kids, whatever. So the year before this year, from when my sister graduated and this year, he was no longer the Grand Knight. So backstory. Like, I understand that my father has also contacted you about his views for this application, and the other knights had some things to say about your modifications, but this is me. My whole government name, am the one speaking now and telling you my opinions to what you have done to this application. Ooh, so I go, I wanted to fill out the scholarship application because I do need the money for school along with all the other applicants, but I found some very personal questions that are not necessary. I am a 17-year-old senior and I do not judge other people on their sex life or whether they engage in illegal activity, whether it be drugs or underage drinking. Period. What does determining whether I had premarital sex... Oh!
Why would you ask me a question like that?
Have you had premarital sex? Oh, ooh. Damn, let me go back. What does determining whether I had premarital sex or not have to do with me trying to go to college and helping my parents... Sorry. And helping my parents out by getting extra money for school. I read somewhere, in quotes, going to church doesn't make you a good person any more than parking your car in a garage makes you a mechanic. I was going in with my pen and the flames was just coming out. So the way you see it, a person that attends church every Sunday but does nothing for the ministry and constantly bullies children but is a virgin and sells but does not engage in illegal drugs deserves a scholarship over a devoted Catholic that constantly volunteers for activities and charities but supports same-sex marriage. Why was I trying to brain fuck her? To me, that doesn't make sense, but that is only my opinion, and as a parishioner of insert church name here, our individual viewpoints should not have been brought up. Also, I believe that we never had a civics quiz in our scholarship application. I also found that unnecessary. He should have beat my ass. Found that unnecessary, and I would like to hear an explanation over that. Honestly, anybody can just Google the answer, so I found it pointless and irrelevant to the scholarship application. Which they did. Next, I believe that checking our Facebook is something that is just being done to us, in quotes, teenagers. I know that if we were to check some people...
I'm finding it.
It take you that long to find it?
It does.
I know that if we were to check out some of... I can't even read anymore. I know if we were to check some of the people teaching our confirmation classes that it would be nothing compared to us. It is hypocritical to let people living a... It is hypocritical to let people living, in quotes, a double life teach our students, but for someone that does the same thing that is 10 years younger to be looked down upon and denied privileges, example, in quotations, example, scholarship money, because of our age.
Period! Period! Period!
He was spitting. The points on the questions I did not get. So because I was not an overachiever in school and did not maintain a 4.0 on a 4-point scale and it's going to cost me some points. That's what I'm saying. Like if I had a flawless GPA, don't you think I'd be getting a full ride scholarship to wherever I wanted to go? Do you think I'd be wasting my time on this scholarship? Anyways, I read on the top of the page that in quotes, average people are just as equal and valid as overachievers. So why are there points next to every question, including how well my grades were in high school? If my grades were so good, I would have a full
Exactly.
If my grades were so good, I would have a full ride scholarship and not need this. So me, as an in quotes average person, think that scoring these questions is just something that yes, is okay to put on a scholarship form, but to put points and compare, I feel if I worked hard in high school and ended up being just average, I shouldn't be scored lower to someone that, for example, cheated their way to the top of the I mean, who are you talking about?
I want to know their name. J420, Joey Yanks.
I shouldn't be scored lower to someone that, for example, cheated their way to the top of their class. There are indicators to students' academic standings, but those numbers do not always determine who worked harder. I just feel that my views on different things are between me and God. I do not feel the need to tell you personal things about me that have nothing to do with college. It is none of your business. If I wanted anyone to know, I would tell them. Sorry. I also know that insert name of person here had the old scholarship applications that we have been using, so I do not understand the need for these new ones, but all I can do is say what I need to say, which is what this paper is for. I hope you take this into consideration. God. I hope you take this into consideration to the modifications I did to your scholarship form. As you did to the original, because I too do things a bit different. Oh, that's what he said in the very beginning. In the very beginning, I wish I had like a copy of his application. I should have kept one. In the beginning of that application, he said that he does things a bit differently, because I remember me referencing him. That's why I said, you know, I hope you take into consideration the modifications I did to your scholarship as you did to the original with him changing everything. And then I said, because I too do things a bit differently. He ate that. I think it's wrong to judge anybody because God doesn't. We aren't perfect, but that's not an excuse to treat people that have made mistakes any less to those who don't make as much. Times have changed and our childhood is different than our adults. So whatever you or any other influence that made to this application went through, it's different than ours, obviously. I did not judge your I remember this part. I did not judge your intelligence when you misspelled the word please on question 3 of this application, so I'd appreciate it if you do not judge my faith on what I do or do not support.
Fatality.
Oh my God, I'm sorry. I'll read it again. I did not judge your intelligence when you misspelled please on question 3 of this application, so I'd appreciate it if you do not judge my faith on what I do or do not support.
Oh, now that's how you clear a bitch.
Feel free to contact me for any questions. He don't want to talk to you. Feel free to contact me for any questions. If there's anything that needs to be talked about, I would rather do it in person.
Go ahead, come at me.
But my contact information is on this application. Thank you. I remember showing this to my parents. And, you know, I was thinking either they would try to talk me out of it or say maybe I shouldn't do it. But I remember them telling me if this is what you feel you need to do, then you need to do it. And they also told me, like, you're about to be an adult yourself. You know, you're about to be 18. Being an adult, you have to make decisions. You decide if this is the letter you want to submit with your application. And delusional me, I mean, realistic me was like, I'm going to send it no matter what. But I also need to say what I want to say. So optimistic me is like, maybe he'll respect where I'm coming from. Like maybe he'll see where I'm coming from and like, you know. But the following day after I submitted the application, he emailed me saying that I did not receive the scholarship. And there's multiple like scholarships to receive and I didn't get any of them. I kind of like knew that already. I kind of knew I wasn't going to get it. I hid myself for many years because of what I was told I needed to be, or I should be, or what, and I don't want to solely blame the church for being that, but I do know what it's like growing up thinking that there's something wrong with you and being taught that things that you may be going through or things you may feel or urges or anything like that are wrong, that it's a sin and that you will be punished for it eternally if you ever act upon these sinful thoughts, actions, whatever. The church can help guide you and help, promote some kind of life morals, and there's definitely lessons in the Bible that are that benefit everyday life. But there is also a lot of toxicity within the community and a lot of things that are being taught and regurgitated that aren't necessarily true. They want to modify things as fit for them and not for people that they don't want to attempt to take the time to understand. Growing up, if I heard that someone was an atheist, I would automatically think like, oh my God, like they are like, that's scary to me. Like, how do you not believe in God? Then you grow up and you enter the real world and you realize that if someone doesn't believe in God, that has nothing to do with who they are as a person. That doesn't mean that they have no morals. That doesn't mean all these things that the church likes to say. You got to take the person for who they are. I feel like people don't really put in the work to get to know the person as an individual, and that's what further divides us. I definitely think that me writing this is a lesson that stuck with me, where I feel like, okay, if I do this, what do I lose? What is the worst case scenario out of this? I remember that night, actually, a lot of people were texting me like, hey, where are you at? Why are you coming? Blah, blah, blah. Because I didn't tell anybody about the letter that I wrote. I just submitted it. And so people didn't find out about it until afterwards. Even like some of the adults, they were like, oh yeah, we read your letter. I don't regret it. Not one bit. It's taught me more than any money they could have given me. I cannot put that I don't support same-sex marriage and submit the application and feel 100% okay. I could not say, yes, under no circumstances do I believe that anyone should ever have an abortion ever, because that's not what I think. And I'm not going to say that. Thankfully, in the year, thankfully now there's a lot more representation. And there's a lot of people who say like, why there gotta be gay stuff all over, like on every TV show and everything. There's always gay people. There gotta be a gay character. Blah, blah. I didn't have that growing up. I didn't see things like that. And anytime like a movie like Brokeback Mountain came out, it was a joke in all media. There was the butt of the joke. It wasn't that it was a love story. It was, oh, those gay cowboys, that gay movie, and nobody cared about the story. Nobody cared about anything like that. It was just seen on its surface, and it really does something where it's like, okay, well, that's something that, is only people only do, or people only mention it to be funny, or like as a joke. Just like straight guys like joke around all the time with each other with like gay stuff, but then as soon as like someone actually is gay, it's like, oh, chill, whoa. But that's another thing. Like guy friends that I'm friends with, I joke around with them, they joke around with me. If you're fortunate enough to live in a community, a city, state, country that is overall just accepting and good for you. But there's a lot of people in smaller towns in other countries who cannot be open about themselves. So what I say is, first and foremost, because it's easy to say like, oh, be who you are, and yeah, it's easy for you to say as an ally, and we definitely appreciate allies, but it's harder when you're going through it. If someone jokes with me, then it makes me comfortable to joke with them, and then we establish our boundary. That's what it is. There's a lot of homophobia still, and I grew up hating myself. I grew up thinking, because when I would go to, what I was trying to say earlier, why am I all the way over here? What I was trying to say earlier, it was like before I went to middle school, they were talking about, oh, everybody has these, sinful thoughts, or they may, like have this whisper from the devil in their head. This conversation really stuck with me. They're like, that's the devil speaking to you when you have those thoughts. And as long as you don't act on them, then you will not be a sinner. And so I'm thinking, okay, well, I guess it's okay to notice that I may find like a guy cute, but as long as I do nothing with him, as long as I don't do anything with him, then I won't be a sinner and I'll get to heaven and everything will be fine. So I ended up hating myself for thinking the thoughts that I had. If someone's different from you, I think you can learn a lot from that person, because if someone is just like you, then how do you grow? You know, if someone is different from you, if they do things differently, if they were raised differently, if they come from a different place, then you learn from their background. So I think it's a beautiful thing to get to know people who are very different than you. I'm very grateful to be surrounded by friends and family who are very accepting of me, who are who I would say for years I'd be like, thank you for, you know, being my friend and, you know, doing all this stuff. They're like, why are you thanking me? And I'd be like, because you don't understand. I grew up with people, not like, if I got really close with a friend and then they started making that friend for being close with me, they would stop talking to me. So that kind of trauma kind of stuck with me for a little longer than it should have. And so I would thank people for, you know, thank you for being my friend. They're like, shut up. You don't have to thank me for being your friend. I'm like, you don't understand. It means so much to me. But yeah, I'm grateful to be surrounded by people who love me for who I am and would not want one thing about me to change. And that's ultimately all I could ask for. And so I know that I made the right decision. And you know, 3 years after this application, same-sex marriage was legalized in all 50 states. And, you know, a lot goes on in the world. We are not living in a perfect one. A message that I could say for anybody who is going to church and, you know, might not be okay with themselves because they feel like their family is maybe severely homophobic, severely, you know, just not accepting to that. And it's funny because a lot of people be like, oh, well, they have, you know, gay coworkers or they have a gay friend they're okay with. But it's very different when that's your child or your cousin or your, you know, whatever. They'd be like, oh, that's okay for them, but for my kid or for, you know, whatever. So it's very different. And a lot of kids get kicked out of their home. You know, their parents choose religion, choose whatever over their own child, and don't understand that it's not a choice. Don't understand that, like, why would someone choose to have things harder for them in life? It's not something that you choose. It's not something that you can explain. It's just the same way. You just got to think of what in your brain is allowing you to be attracted to the opposite sex. Like, can you really explain that? Or is it just something that you feel and something that happens? Okay, so people who are attracted to the same sex, people who are asexual, who don't have any type of sexual attraction, they can't explain that. It's just how they are. I know everybody is different, so you just need to step outside of yourself and understand that not everybody's brain does not operate the same as yours, and there's so much evidence that proves that. So I don't find it offensive when people ask me questions about, as long as they come in at me respectfully. I don't find it disrespectful when people are asking me questions about how I knew or whatever. And that doesn't mean that I'm thinking of them like, oh, they must be curious. Like, I'm not thinking of that. I just think that they want to understand me, and I'm someone that I might be the only gay person in their life that could answer those questions. And maybe they just were wondering, you know, getting to know me better, it opens their eyes maybe to things that they never really thought about. Just like if I'm talking to a friend who's pregnant, and then, you know, she's telling me her journey, I will never be pregnant, but I have questions because I'm like, what must that be like? Like, what do you go through? Like, oh my God, these are things that I've never had to think about because I will never give birth. So, but I'm interested. I want to know about what you go through, because, you know, things like that will help not only better help me understand you and what you go through, but help me understand, you know, pregnancy is the reason I'm here. The reason why everybody watching this video is here, because you came out your mama. So it's like, why wouldn't I want to understand that process, that journey, what my friends are going through, what my mom went through? Well, that's just an example, but it's just something like, I feel like the more we talk to people as individuals and the better we get to understanding people, and the more time we take to understand people, the better that we can be in understanding. So that's my letter, and I stand by every word that I said. And I just think I wanted to share that story because it has taught me so much. And I'm not as aggressive these days verbally, but I do think that when it is very important to say something, you have to, because nobody's going to say it for you. And a message to anybody who you know is young, still going to church. You know who you are, but if you feel like it's a danger to yourself, it may not be the time to come out. That's understandable. You know, it's very easy to say, be who you are, you know, just be honest and all that stuff, but it's terrifying. It's terrifying. You have no idea how many children are still getting kicked out of their homes because they get outed, or because, you know, they do have the courage to come out to their parents and their parents just pick religion over them. I just say, be safe. And if you're going to church and they're trying to tell you who you should be and who you are, just have the strength. And I will try to give you the strength, help give you the strength to believe that you are okay just the way that you are, and there's nothing wrong with you. And if, you know, because I remember thinking that there is everything wrong with me. I remember going to bed and praying and just trying to speak to God and say, please, can I please stop feeling, can I please stop having these thoughts? Can you please make me normal? Can you just fix it? Whatever is wrong with me, just fix it. And I don't want anybody to ever have to go through that. I don't want anyone to feel so insecure and hate themselves and just think that there's something wrong with them when there's not. So I just say, I mean, it's easy to say, fuck it. Where I'm at right now, where I live right now, the people that are surrounding me in my life right now, it's very easy to say that. But I just hope that you don't hate yourself. I send you not only the strength, but I send you the love of someone who's been there, as someone who doesn't want to see anybody have to go through that. I just want to let you know that the situation that you're in, give it a couple years and you won't be there anymore. You'll be able to be who you are. It gets better. It gets a lot better. It gets so much better. And I can't wait for you to meet the person that you will become. And it's going to be a very beautiful person. Somebody who is meant to spread positivity in the world. You spread positivity and love through the world by, you have to love yourself first. And that's what I learned. Thinking about that person, when there's like, oh, is there anything that you would say to your younger self? And there's so much I would say to him. I would not want to go back in time and change anything, but because I can't, I would not be this person if I did that. You can't erase it. You can only evolve from it. So, I mean, and it's very hard to think that when you're in the process or when you're going through it. Years later, you're like, well, this is what I made out of it, you know? Do you wish it happened? No, but how do you come back from that? How do you come out of that, you know? You come out of it with the lesson, how you move on. So I'm just talking a lot of nonsense right now. Thank you for listening to my letter and everything else that came after it. And I will see you next time.